Hello, hello. Thank you, Maria. Okay. Good evening. Oh my goodness. I have to wake up. Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the Malden Senior Center to our citizen engagement meeting on solid waste and blue bags. It looks like we have quite a attendance here. My name is Councilor Debbie DiMaria. I am the Councilor at Large and also the chair of this committee. We have two members from City Council that are on this committee. I'd like to acknowledge Peg Crow from Ward 1 and Neil Anderson from Ward 7, who is on his way. We also, before we start this meeting, which our mayor is going to be facilitating today, Lisa Cagno, our clerk of committees, is going to be passing out a little two-page how to recycle information that I happened to find, and I thought it was quite helpful. So you can certainly use that or refer to that. We also have Councilor John Matheson from Ward 3 in the audience, and I don't think I've forgotten anybody else. Anybody who needs translation, we have Anna Say in the back who can certainly get you translated into the language that you need, but it doesn't look like off-site that we might need that. But again, right, Anna, can you wave just so everyone sees? There you go. Okay, and I believe this is also filmed from MATV. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass the microphone over to our distinguished mayor, Gary Christensen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Gary Christensen, mayor of the city of Malden. And let me just say, after 8 years, I'll never look at the two words trash and recycling the same way ever again. This is something that we have been working on since 2012. And so what we'd like to discuss here this afternoon is the problem, the solution, and most importantly, your input. Before I do that, I do want to make sure everyone here knows that this does not happen in a vacuum. I'm very privileged to work alongside some great staff who will not stop until we get to where we all want to go to. So we have Chuck Ranigan to my right. He's our city controller. Ron Hogan, often referred to as the mastermind, but on paper, head of the parking department. And then, of course, the one and only our chief of staff, Maria Luis. So let's talk about the problem that we have been trying to solve for the past, I'd say, 8 to 10 years now. And what it is, in a nutshell, is that we've heard from people about two things regarding pay-as-you-throw. One is they find it very inconvenient, and they also find that the quality of the bags are a concern. So you wake up on a Sunday, Monday's your trash day, you're off the couch, you go down to Super Stop and Shop, try to find the bags, they don't have them. Then you go to the next store, they do have them, but not the size that you want. You finally go to another store, you find them. They have the size that you want, you buy them, you get home, you put the trash in the bag, put it out in the sidewalk and it rips. So those are the two things that we have heard over and over again about this program. So the other thing that we have learned over time is that people have been taking their trash and putting it in the recycling bin. So it's being misclassified. And what's happened over time is that JRM has indicated to us that upwards of 40% of our recycling, in the 18-gallon open-air blue bins, is contaminated. And it's something that they're going to address, whether it's this proposal or another proposal. So some background, which I outlined at the beginning. In 2008, the city implemented the pay-as-you-throw program in response to increasing trash costs as well as to encourage recycling. Now, according to our figures, prior to the change, we generated roughly 24,000 tons of trash per year. Now, the tonnage was reduced down from those 24,000 tons to about 11,000 tons. The result of the program, recycling increased, which was one of the primary goals, to 4,000 tons. But as you can probably imagine, what's happened since 2008, there's a lot that has changed in the market. The global recycling markets have changed dramatically. China, which used to be the largest purchaser of all recycling across the United States, stopped taking recycling due to the contamination. So what JRM has told us now, it's costing them more to handle and dispose of recycling than it is to handle and dispose of trash. So JRM, through their willingness, was accepting that bad recycling, but now that is coming to an end. So once again, the goal is to try to come up with a program that modernizes what was put in place in 2008 by providing a more convenient means for an average household to dispose of an average amount of trash while also cleaning up the recycling from the contamination, which again we peg at roughly 40%. So the proposal that is before the City Council is to provide each resident with a 64-gallon city issued trash container. It will cost $10 per month per unit, and it'll be a fee that will be added on to the water bill. We also took into consideration, our many seniors, so we proposed a 50% abatement for our seniors, which figures to roughly, will be $5 per month for a senior. And the way we came up with this figure is it's roughly a $2 32-gallon bag a week, give or take. That's how we arrived at that $10. We tried to make this as even-steven as possible. We also came up with overflow stickers. So let's say someone has the 64-gallon city-issued trash container. They have additional trash. You would use an overflow sticker. So we're really trying to address that inconvenience that residents told us. So we wanted to, if we were going to do this, we wanted to move entirely away from the blue bags. We also proposed 2 trash holidays per year. And this is something that the residents have been suggesting to us over the years. We've incorporated that into the proposal. On the recycling side, the other thing that we've heard is that why do we have to separate? You see other cities and towns. You actually see sometimes our hauler just take both bins, put them in a single compartment in the truck. So that will become formalized as part of this proposal. We will go from dual stream to single stream. And we will do that with the city providing all of you a 32-gallon recycle container. And again, we will go to single stream recycling. Now, one thing we've been asked about, and this actually came up in 2013 when we commissioned a panel of residents across the city, to tell us from their vantage point what they were seeing and what they were hearing. And one of the things that they suggested, and I think they've since moved off that if you asked any of them today, is why can't we just have choice? I do the bags, you do the barrel, you do the barrel, you do the bags, barrel. And we just, haven't been able to come up administratively, how to do that. And I don't think any city or town around us has either. If you look at any urban city like ours, it's one or the other. You're either doing bags or you're doing containers and barrels. One of the things would be, is JRM going to have a flip, notebook, and they're going down the street, and okay, that one is barrels, that next one's barrels, that one's bags. We just think administratively, not only on JRM's end, but on the city assessor and the city treasurer. So, we also have the issue of, non-owner occupied properties. They may simply opt out. How are we going to know that? So, again, we definitely looked at that. Ron and Chuck spent a lot of time seeing if we could come up with a program, and we just haven't been able to. So, that's the presentation. We have some, if you want to go, frequently asked questions that you can look at on your own time. This presentation is on cityofmalden.org/trash if you want to take another look at that, after this presentation. But I think now what we'd like to do is take some of your questions, ideas, thoughts, and go from there. Moderate.
Okay, so if you can raise your hands, I'll run around. Hi.
Hi. Well, I have my issue really is on the water bill. Okay, so I mean I'm a senior, so I don't want to have to pay $5, but my tenant would have to pay $10. Am I right? So now you're adding $15 to my water bill. I pay $1,500 a year on my water bill. Now you're telling me I'm going to have to pay an additional $15 on my water bill. That's what bothers me.
Here, Ron.
I think what you're saying, sir, is you're the owner. You'd be paying $5, and then you're also saying that tenant would pay $10. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, so in the case of a multifamily, of course, there's one water bill, right? So if you had 2 units, one water bill, 2 units, one of them happened to be somebody who qualified for the senior abatement, you'd end up with a $5 charge and a $10 charge. So the $15 is your reference. Now, of course, you have a tenant who at that point in time has been buying bags to get rid of their trash, right? So you have a tenant that has been buying bags up to that point in time. So I think where the program leads you is, right. Yeah, no doubt. And that's the challenge with going away from, right? So there's no perfect answer. There's just a challenge with going away from the pay-as-you-throw program is the only way to be able to handle the billing is through something like a water bill because we don't have that relationship with the tenants, right? So I'll acknowledge that that's absolutely in any of these programs that exist across the many cities that do it, it goes through the owner who then sort of has to work out with the tenant whether or not to pass it back directly, whether or not to not pass it back, however that ends up working out. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that is the only way to be able to pass the So again, I think the hope is that at the amounts that are being proposed, that for most residents, and I think we'll acknowledge not all, but for most residents, it's a replacement for the cost they're incurring now through the bags. And again, admitting that it's not always going to be exact. For some folks, it'll be a savings. For some folks, it may be a little bit more. But the hope is that with the 50% senior discount, that brings it down to $5 a month. And with most other residents at $10 a month, that it just replaces the purchase of about 1 bag a week. But I understand your point. But that's sort of trying to trying to find a way to replace the blue bags requires looking at what other cities have done, which is what this is.
Thank you. Right here.
I have the same sentiments as this gentleman about the cost. I think it's ludicrous. Okay, I have three. I have a three-unit house, so now I have to buy three. Is that like 360? Okay, a year. What about the recycle bins? Is there a charge for those? Okay, I don't have the space. I don't have the space for that, and I have a lot of stairs. Who's going to pay to get them down? Who's going to pay to drag them back up? I mean, why do I have to take three? Why can't I have one, and if I need an overflow sticker, go that route?
Ron? I think what you were saying is you have 3 units, and why can't you just buy one? Why do you have to be equipped with 3, right? Right.
You know, it's really just a variation of an opt-out, right? So it gets the same question. Right, but that, right? So in other words, you're saying that you have 3 units, but you only want one to participate in the barrel program, and 2 of them would, or not, they wanted to buy an overflow bag, or they could just put it all in that same barrel, and it gets to the same, right? Yeah. 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 So. No doubt, right? And so one of the challenges, and you know, when Mayor Howard way back when put in the current program, for all of its faults, the one thing that works is it allows you to be flexible in terms of the folks who generate the most trash pay the most, right? So that part of it works. It's everything else about it that I think the mayor has heard from folks don't necessarily work on a day-to-day basis, the trash around the street. So as you talk about replacing it with another program, you solve a lot of things, and then you absolutely create the challenge of, for some people, you've created more capacity than what they really need, right? But the way for that to not be the case is to stick with the blue bag program. But there's no way, as we mentioned, to do a hybrid. There just simply is no way to go across unit by unit. It is a hybrid, sir. It's yeah. 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 No, and again, it's definitely under that category of yeah. Yeah. No, I think we're just trying to see if there's a combination of changes that. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. No. I think what he was saying is, why are we even here to begin with? Don't the taxes cover, you know? Right, right. Right, right. Hey, we don't either. I mean, but if you look at our budget year after year, we're using our reserves to help balance. It's just one of the realities that we live in today. If we had you know, I'll come right back to you. If we had all the money in the world, we're not having this discussion. But because we don't, we're trying to find a way to offset what has become, you know, an onerous cost, not just for Malden, but for all cities and towns. And so one of the things that we try to do is just try to, you know, break even from where we were with pay-as-you-throw to go into the barrels. Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, if you go to our budget, which is online, cityofmalden.org/budget, you'll see on the revenue side, Right now, we generate roughly $1.2 million from the sale of the pay-as-you-throw bags. And then on the side, we pay JRM roughly $1.7 million for them to haul our trash and recycling every week. And we also pay Wheel Operator to, take the trash from when JRM separates it. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's under the public works expenses if you want to look at it. So that's the idea behind it. Listen, we just have to pick our poison. I mean, there's no perfect program. We were just trying to come up with something based on what we heard to address the inconvenience, the quality, and also for Mr. Knox, who's arrived from Public Works. He's just street sweeping every day from the loose recycling that comes out of those open air 18-gallon bins. So that was the idea. Well, because we finally reached an agreement with JRM. It's taken us 5 years. Oh. Oh, no, they're doing night meetings. Yeah. Oh, community preservation, the 1%. Yep. No, it won't be. Yep, there'll be night meetings. I think Debbie's even talking about doing a weekend meeting. Yep. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we looked at that, and what we found is the average household generally disposes of two 32-gallon bags. So that's what, how we arrived at the 64-gallon bin toter that would be covered. It would hold 232 gallons. But, again, this is the reason why we're here. Anything below that, I think the next size down we saw that is on the market is a 40-gallon or 42-gallon. We're just not sure that's going to be big enough for folks. But, again, that's why we're here, and we'll see if we can get to where we all want to go. But we're taking notes here on this, so. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Understood. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we hope on the recycling side, because we're going to increase from the 18-gallon bins. So we'll be at 32 standard recycling bin, which we hope will encourage more recycling than what we have now, which is the open air bin. He can't, but what he can do is start charging us for the contaminated. Yeah. Well, there's a provision. Can I call you up? And the question again was first, Deb, can you bring it over to us? I'll just go over to her. I'll take care of this. Yeah, I just want to make sure we hear you. Okay, ma'am?
Why do we have to have
Let me just give you the mic. Okay. All right.
Okay, other towns, they have, because I have friends in other towns, they buy their bucket. If someone happens to steal their bucket, like it did to one of my friends, they go to City Hall and they buy another bucket. Mm-hmm. They're not forced to rent it every month all year long. We're being forced to do it, and it's put on our water bill. How can you separate the both, the water bill and what you're going to charge us?
Okay. And the
Okay.
second question?
Second question is, why does JRM, how can he just break the 20-year contract?
Right,
We
okay.
have a contract with him.
Okay. So everybody has those. Neil, did you hear that question? Please. Yeah, I mean, contract would start first, okay? Let's answer that.
So on the contract with JRM, they have put us on notice that they're going to start holding us to the current contract, which allows them to not pick up recycling that's contaminated. So they've come back to us and said, we're going to start leaving upwards of 40% of what's being left by your residents on the curbside at the curbside. So it was that notice that got us sitting back down at the table to see if there was a compromise that both parties can agree to. And if both parties can agree to it, then there can be an amendment to that contract as long as both parties. So they're not able to unilaterally tell us that something's going to happen and we're not able to do the same to them. This represents a middle point where they were willing to agree to it and we were willing to agree to it. But you're absolutely right. They can't, we could just sit back and say, operate to the contract, leave the recycling at the curb, and then we'll sort of deal with the repercussions of that, you know? And then on the second piece, I guess, the monthly charge, I think, for cities that do it is really looked at more as the charge for the collection and getting rid of the trash, not so much for the rental of the barrel, right? So the city's going to give you the barrel. If the barrel gets damaged by the hauler or what have you, the city will replace the barrel. The fee is for the pickup, the hauling, and the disposal of the content of that. I realize a little bit of a semantics, but I mean that's I think how these fees are generally looked at is for the service. Well, I think I wasn't here, but when the pay-as-you-throw program was put into place, that was probably a lot of that dialogue way back then. But I guess for better or for worse, we're a community that has a fee for the pickup of something that when we all grew up was free. So I think that was probably Council Anderson, you were here back, and that was probably the nature of the conversation, way back when.
Yeah, I think that was the impetus back in 2008 as to why they did that. I mean, I had voted no back at that time, but now 10 years later, and you see these markets changing the way they are, I'm sure that's what the thinking was, back then. Let's take some other questions. Who's next? Right here? Hold on. Let me come right over here. Well, go, lady, I'll come after you. No.
Are you sure?
I mean, Ron, the $10 fee month, the $10 per month fee. Yeah, it'll be in the ordinance. So if it was to change, we would have to propose it, or the council would have to propose it. What is the age for a senior? What's the age? I know. Hold on one second. We haven't decided, we haven't figured out that detail yet on the age. Yes, because we have to be uniform. I mean, I think, if we start doing one here, none there, two there, administratively, I just don't know how you do it. I mean, every city and town we've looked around at, that's what they're doing. So I wanted to come here, and then we'll come to the back, okay? Right after. Here you go, sir.
No, I don't need the microphone. I've got a loud voice.
Okay.
How much am I going to get added to my water bill? 3 seniors, 1 disabled, making any accommodation for disabled, and
No, right? It's the 3 seniors right now. That's what we have in the plan, the senior exemption only.
only seniors.
Yes.
Okay, and how will it work, the abatement? You're gonna have to fill out 16 different pages of forms? Is it gonna be something simple? I
Yeah.
don't hear you.
The answer is, the question is, what will the form look like? 16, 20, 25 pages? We believe it'll be something simple, 1 page. 1 page is what we're thinking.
Page?
Yes.
Is there a fee? Is there a fee for filing the form?
No.
Okay.
Here you go, Ron.
I think there's a similar program that's handled through the assessor's office for seniors for their taxes, and so we would, yeah, so it would be handled similar to that. But again, we haven't. I'm not going to tell you we've gotten into the operational discussion of every last little piece of that, but there'd be a form available online to print. You could come get one in person if you wanted to. We could mail one.
It's something that you might think about. Snow. What do we do when we have a storm with 28, 30 inches of snow with piles? And at the front of my house, they come and clean all the Maple Square and dump. I have 3 to 8 foot mounds of snow that are left there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very difficult even to put the blue bag, let alone the whole barrels up there. There's no room for it.
Yeah.
So what do you have plans for snow?
Yeah, there aren't. We don't have one for that. Again, that's the conundrum that we face.
Will we be able to use regular trash barrels with stickers for recycling that we have in the past?
Yes. No.
You know, if I take barrels and stick it in yard waste,
Right.
yard waste will continue.
Yes.
Is there a limit of bags per barrel as long as the lid closes? I saw somewhere 2 bags per barrel.
That's what we came up with as a rough calculation. That's what we came up with as a rough calculation. If it's a 64-gallon toter that we're providing everyone, we just took one 32-gallon bag twice. So that's what it'll generally fit.
Bags per week. With 5
Yes.
people in the house, we put 3 or 4 bags a week.
Yes.
No one generates trash.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yes.
How many barrels am I going to be forced to have? 5.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
and I must say, I like the trash hauling.
Yeah.
Like the sales trash hauling. You don't have to go to New Hampshire and buy stuff.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them, not 1. 2 of them. Yep.
Right. So
And we,
that's meant for like Christmas trees. Like it's
yeah, I think we were thinking of trying to do them around the big holidays is when we would do the 2 trash holidays.
okay. By the way, I'm not happy with this. I've been 76 years on the job in this city, and I'm not happy.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Sure. Yep.
How come on their recycling, they collect every other week?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we?
We looked at,
That would be a significant savings. They're comparable to us. I have a son that has family of 5,
right.
plenty of room in their back.
Yeah, and we looked at that with JRM. Let me get an answer, okay? Question was why can't we go every other week on the recycling and use that as a means to reduce the cost?
So I don't know if I need the microphone. Yeah, and the hauler that we use.
All right, Debbie, where do you want to go next? Okay. Oh, sorry. Can you just hold a follow-up? Right. Yep.
So the $600,000 is what, I'm sorry, I don't have the article in front of me. It doesn't, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to, but it doesn't speak just to the contamination piece. It speaks to the overall increased cost to be able to come up with an agreement with JRM that they're willing to agree to. So when it comes down to getting them to agree, so something as simple as, them picking up the blue bags right now, for them is a simple process. They take it and they can throw it in the back of a truck, and now taking a barrel and lifting it to the back of the truck is more time, more work, and more manpower for them. So the agreement with them recognizes the cost that they were looking to recoup from the city in order to make the changes that we were looking to make. But it's a two-party compromise, and that's, there's multiple categories that add up to that 600,000. One of which, sir, would be the absolute recognition that we'd be generating more trash because there are people right now putting stuff in the recycle bin that should be going in the trash bin. So when you add all those together, that's where we came up with this estimate that the cost would go up by $600,000.
All right, let's jump right here, okay? It's contaminated. No, it wasn't. They relented. They backed off from doing that. But, yeah, well, they're not going to back off now. That's what they told us. We have a letter dated from them in July that they are going to start just leaving stuff curbside. So, like anything, it's an estimate. But I think if, you talk with Ron after, he could break down the numbers to get close to what you're reading in that article. Right here? Let me just jump over, okay? We got other hands up. We'll be around after if you want to. Sure. Sure. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah. Got it. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we're here. So to try to take input. Right. Yep. Could be that, or we just end up staying with the current program. I don't know. But the thing that we tried to address was, I'm pretty sure we heard overwhelmingly about, is just, the inconvenience and the quality of the program. That's what we were trying to really get at. So, but if it's offset too much by some of these new inconveniences, then we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. Sure. Sure. We thought of that right at the outset. Yes. Okay. Yep. Sure. Yep. Yeah, again, it gets back to the whole, I think, administration of the program. Just, all of a sudden, are we doing 3, 4, 5 different options? So every city and town we looked at, it's one or the other. So we'll certainly go back and take another look at that, but, I'm just not sure if it changes the cost now by us ordering, X amount of 40-gallon barrels, X amount of 64-gallon barrels, et cetera. So we were just trying to come up with a system that was uniform. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's on the back end. It might be, on the administration of tracking it, who has them, what if someone's runs out? Do we have enough 40s, 30s, 20s in stock? But again, we'll take a look at that based on the input today. Sure. The quality. Yeah.
But there is a third issue that has been since this program has started.
Okay.
That it was residents of Malden considered this unfair
Sure. Hmm.
Please acknowledge that the residents thought this was unfair for everyone.
We do.
All of our surrounding neighborhood cities issue barrels, they have other kind of programs, and we've got a pay-as-you-go. I was at the debate last night, and I heard reference information about a high percentage of low income in Malden,
Sure.
and as well as the high percentage of people not applying for this.
Hmm.
I also want to make the point that for a city to enter into a 20-year contract,
Hmm.
I think that was that's too long
We agree.
to take into consideration any impact.
We agree.
So just I wanted to say that every year when I've gone to vote, there have been petitions about the pay-as-you-go program.
Sure.
I've signed it every year, nothing has changed.
Hmm.
And I also don't like the idea of hearing that people haven't thought out all the angles of this.
Mhm.
You're going to put it into effect.
No, we're not. That's why we're here.
So January is not going to.
Nope. It depends on when the council acts. It's before the city council. Could be January, could be July. But I can tell you that I think at some point, you know, JRM's waiting to see what happens here. At some point, they are going to say, until you figure it out, we're just going to start leaving stuff curbside. And that's going to be a whole nother issue that we're going to have to try to figure out. So, yeah. Sure. Right. And that was, I guess that's probably a fourth reason why we're trying to come up with something like this. We think it will start to address, you know, that issue. Exactly right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yep. Yep. We agree. That's why we're here again. Yep. We just let the person speak, please. I wish I could end the meeting right now, but I can't. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. Um, oh, this is the space issue you're talking? Yeah, that's the one thing we, haven't been able to figure out. Nor has any other city or town. You could put a hefty, you could do, yeah, whatever bag you chose. Again, that goes to the convenience. You now can put whatever bag. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Deb, can you just get people that haven't asked a question, and then we'll go around for seconds? So who's next?
About the idea that, okay, right now, I don't overflow my recycle bins, I don't want to blow it, because they're very effective. So if I have this 32 gallon, whatever it is, recycling container, and that's not enough, is it true, like I think I heard you say, that I can use the additional ones I have now, in addition to the one you're giving,
Yes.
the current ones?
Yes.
Oh, very good. And the other thing is about these trash haulers, that's the one thing I've been looking for a long time. Christmas and Thanksgiving is so close apart. I think a lot of people have asked me to ask you guys about the spring cleanup.
Sure.
Have one in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
like, when people,
Yep, we would consider that.
some people have asked about the recycle thing. Is there any, reason yet for work?
Yes. Yep, we're considering that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Right. Okay, well, we did it. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have. Mm-hmm. 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 We can. We could stay with the current program, no problem. Okay, other people? Mhm. Right. Right. Well, part of the amended contract would be that we would have a full-blown program on education around recycling, and hopefully that we have had been doing that, but not to what this new agreement calls for. So we would have someone that is going to be going around to community meetings day in, day out, trying to promote, what you can recycle and not recycle. So that was part of the amended agreement that we have with JRM. Sure. Sure. No. No. I, no, we're still doing those. Putting them on people's cars, putting them at their doors. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, after we'll get your address and get you signed up, okay? We were thinking annually, right? Annually. Uh, no, $5 per month, and we would just do a re-up, every year with the paperwork. Okay. Yep. Right. 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 Yep. That's one of the conundrums. Well, no, I said at the outset, from what we've heard from a lot of people, is the, inconvenience of going to get the bags, and then once you do, they rip, and also the overblown recycling that gets into the gutter lines and into people's yards, I think someone mentioned, and then finally the rodent problem that Ms. Graff mentioned. Mm-hmm. 32, yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. It's a contractor that's on the statewide bid list. Most cities and towns utilize the contractor. No. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll find out in the spring. Once the payment comes in, we'll make it part of the budget. City Council will determine what's the best use, but I can tell you right now that we've had proposals from using that money for roads, for the replacement of lead lines, to the acquisition of Malden Hospital, to adding more teachers, more police, more fire. So I think we just have to wait until the money comes in, and then the administration will make it part of the overall budget process, and then the City Council will determine whether or not that is the best use of those funds. No. I think what we're trying to do right now is just take the current program and try to change it without impacting the overall budget. That was the idea behind it. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Right. Yep. And we've done those in the past, but the reality is, you know, right, right. Sure. Do we have a price on that? The overflow sticker. Yeah, $2, we believe. Yep. So it'd be roughly the same per week. Okay. Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. 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 Yep. Yep. Yeah, right, right. Yep. Did everybody get to ask a question once? Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we have too. Yep. No worries. Yep. Sure. We have. Actually, if you believe it, the bags have been thickened over the years. They're just still not to what people want, you know. So we've had them, I think, I forget how you measure them, but they've increased the thickness, I think, 2 times over the life of the contract. Yep, hefty, glad, whichever. Yeah. Well, I think what happens now, it may not rip on you. It has ripped on other people, but even if it hasn't, what we found over the years is that for sure the animals get into them. You know, so that's been another thing we've been trying to attack through this idea. So. Yeah. We we doing anything or yeah. Sure.
First thing, I live in her house.
Okay.
She's single housing. We don't generate enough trash or recycle.
Okay.
That's one thing.
All right.
So she's gonna be stuck getting 2 barrels and paying all that money to dump. That's another.
All right.
Why do we have to pay each month for the barrels? Why don't we do a one-shot deal? Pay once, and that's it.
Right. Well, I think because, again, based on our budget situation, if you look on our budget, we have it both accounted for on the revenue and the expense side. So if you were to do something one time, then the following year, how do you make up, you know, the funds on the revenue side to match the expense side?
Okay, let's go back to the win. You've already received, I think last year, when did the win open?
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Yep.
Because you get it every year, 1 point something million.
1 million. It's actually 900,000 because 100,000 of it off the top is going to go to nonprofits in Malden.
Okay, so goes to nonprofit, that's fine. So even that, it's not earmarked, so would you earmark some of that for trash?
Yeah, we may do that depending on what our situation is. And
You already received the check.
well, no, what we did when we received the check, as I outlined last night, that was used to save jobs because at the time we were short $5 million. So we used that in order to prevent laying off, you know, police, fire, teachers, and public works. And that was one time. So now the mitigation payments will start in earnest. Now they'll come in and we'll look at it from the administrative side, make a proposal to the city council, and do it like we always do with any revenue source.
Most of us here don't generate a lot of trash and recycle.
Right.
We rather, and we don't use a lot of blue bags. We might use one a month.
Gotcha.
If it's a one-shot deal for the barrels, I'm for it.
Got it. Okay.
If that's a no fit, everybody's fine. A tax being taxed, another tax, and that's what it is, I don't care what you call it, fee or what, still a tax.
Sure.
For life, is something that you're gonna pay for once.
Okay.
Barrel you pay for once. It's gonna be a heavy barrel, it's not gonna break overnight. It's a long time. And if it breaks, then you charge the whole amount.
Yeah, I think the life of them is, what's the expected life on the barrels? I think it's 5 years, 5 to 7 years.
Well, okay. And really, it's not, what's the lifespan of the barrel?
We think it's, well, we're not sure, yeah.
All right, no, we're not sure, we still, I mean, the barrel, then we charge it.
Yeah.
As it needs it.
Mhm.
And there's other plans in there, there's other people that have plans, the councilman, which I know of,
It's online too, if you want to look at our budget online. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we could. All right. All right. Yeah, we could get your copy. Our controller's right here. Get your copy of the budget, or anybody, any of the councilors could get you a copy. We'll look into that. Yep. Thank you for the suggestion. So, I mean, again, folks, we're just taking input and trying to find the best solution. So, right here, ma'am. All right, so we have some other people here. Right. And have it a person dedicated to it. Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. It's a good suggestion. We just met with Keep Massachusetts Clean. I think that's the name of the organization. And, we may do something with them as part of this. So we think you're spot on. We haven't quite figured it out, but we actually think we should have someone that's all they're doing is educating the community about, what to recycle, not to recycle, how it impacts us overall, that sort of thing. So we agree. Yep. Right. Yeah, the other thing we found with Melrose, they charge a flat fee per year. I think it's $200 that they charge, no matter what you're doing. Yeah. So we may, to your point, I think that's coming to a head, actually, about that. So. I'll repeat the question. Yeah. Yeah, do we? No. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, we wouldn't charge for the replacement. Yes. Other questions?
I got a question in the statement to the chair. Where's the chair of the committee? Could you please get a better sound system for the next meeting? In here at Kansas? There are very important things being said that I am sure other people
Yes, sir.
Council Spatafora said that we could let them know about my paper that's in committee as well. I had the plan for a barrel plan in the committee.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be coming out so they could hear the other.
Oh, okay.
proposal.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
It's in one there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't wanna steal your thunder.
No, actually, you can steal it.
What they did is they sent their inspectors out. And the inspectors went, like when we put our trash out before 9 o'clock at night, we get a $300 ticket and the door, inspectors went out. And the violators were the ones that paid. And the problem resolved itself, took a few months. The problem resolved itself. My suggestion is get the inspectors off their butts and let them go out and check and see what's going. They put rubber gloves on.
Yep, they're doing it now. We just don't have enough inspectors. They're doing it now, but we don't have enough. We have one.
How many fines have been written?
We have one solid waste inspector. Is Mr. Knox still here? He left. Okay. If after we get your information, we could get you those figures. How many fines have been written? Okay. Yeah, multiple meetings. Got it. No doubt. We agree. We agree. And again, we tried to keep it as nominal as possible. Every city and town around us, I think, Lynn's at $100 a year. I forget, Medford, they're all charging fees. So we just tried to take the average on what we're doing now on this new program. Again, we could say status quo. We just tried to come up with something that we think we heard loud and clear for the past 8 years, which is just people having, you know, to all of a sudden remember to go get them, then they're not in stock, and then they're not the right size, and so that's what we were trying to address. Yeah, everybody's different. You know, we just have to try to pick our poison. That's where we're at. Other folks? Okay, Debbie, do you want to?
One more?
Yep. Sure. Yep. That's up to you. Right. 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 So again, well, we haven't done anything different with the program since its inception, which was 2008. And we did try to take into account seniors. You know, our plan calls for an exemption, you know, half the cost. But on the tenants, we leave it to the owner to determine what they want to do with the tenant. Gallon. Yeah. 28. Yep. Right. Yep. So again, yeah, that's the conundrum that we face. There is no perfect solution. We just tried to come up with something that was the same today. Yeah. Right. 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 Yep. 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 Right. No, we definitely thought of that. And again, it's just which way we want to go. We can definitely stay the way we are, or, you know, we can try to get to a modified system. Again, the four things we're chasing was the inconvenience, the quality, the rodents, and the loose recycling that's blowing all over the city. We think those four things would be addressed through this. But again, if the sense is we don't, we stay the way it is. The only thing we're going to have to address either way, whether we stay or whether we go, is no, it's not that. It's JRM's contention that, you know, they're just at some point they're just going to draw the line, and if they see it's contaminated, they're going to leave it, and that's what we're going to have to figure out what to do. So whether that's someone that is, you know, knocking the door and saying, you know, this is what you have to do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think we had planned on doing that anyway, but that's going to be an issue for us, because as you can imagine, you know, across the city, we're going to have to deal with that. So right here, sir. Yep. Yep. No, right, Ron? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. No, good point. I think what we, you know, thought in this plan, again, we're still working it out, but is to have someone following them. You know, all they're doing is sitting on the route with JRM to see that they're not doing that. And if they were, you know, to hold them to account. You know, right now they have the numbers on the trucks, and so, but it's hard catching them because the staff that we have do different things. But I think one of the things we thought if we got to a jumping off point is we would have someone, all they're doing is following the trucks. Can you hold 1 second? Just this gentleman back there. Thank you. It's, Chuck, do you know offhand?
So a 3 unit, there'd be 3 separate $10 charges, and you get 3 barrels. Correct. But there's 3 units.
So it goes by the units?
It would contain 1 charge for $30.
Right. So it's by unit, I guess, in other words. Yeah, yeah.
I know a gentleman said he doesn't use the internet or whatever.
Sure.
Can something be put into the water bill or in that event, or the tax bill? Just explaining when you finally have all the options done, send it to the people who get the water bill so that they know if they don't attend these meetings. And I know Deb has said that they're gonna have, many more.
Sure.
At least that they'll know, okay, this is it, this is what's happening, and, they can at least know, or maybe they can give their comments on it.
Right. No, it's a good suggestion. Yeah, I'm certain, knowing Council DeMaria, she plans on doing that. We may at some point utilize our, Code Red system on some of these meetings that we're going to have, but it won't be done in a vacuum. This is one of several meetings. We're going to try and get it as right as we can and, move forward. But we're not going to do anything, again, this could take months, who knows. We just have to be mindful, though. Excuse me, sir, one sec. JRM did send us that letter in July, I think it was. So at some point, we're going to have to figure out which direction we want to go and account for that letter that they send us that, some point soon they're just going to start leaving stuff curbside. Oh, yeah, CPC, yep. Right. We did look at. Right. Right. Yeah, we looked at that. So far, we just haven't come up with something administratively to figure that out. But if we do, we'll take a look at it. I mean, if you come up with something that you think might make sense for us, I got our controller here. Yeah. Right. Right. Well, that's why. Yeah, that's why on this one we were thinking a single page, once a year. But again, I don't think we're going to get there until we figure out just globally whether or not we want to stay with the current system or we want to try to go to this covered system. You're right. Right. Yep. Understood. Right. Right. Understood. Thank you.
So I think,
Oh, did you have your hand up? Right. Yeah, it's by unit right now. That's the current plan. So again, it's not the end of the world. This is just a proposal that, we wanted to give the community the ability to look at, but it's not being decided today.
yeah, so I'm just about ready to do that, sir. So thank you for that. So just so you know, you're part of the process by just being here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counselors that it is our decisions. Counselor Crowe, Counselor Anderson, Counselor Winslow, Counselor Matheson, and myself. So the proposal came to City Council. We're hosting these meetings so we can hear from you to either not go with the program, fix the program, amend the program. So you're part of the process. And I think we're all very appreciative that you came out today because this event is being recorded and we're taking minutes on this. So as we wrap up, are there anything that my committee members?
Folks, there's another proposal out there. You want to hear it? All right, because then I'll let me speak.
Oh.
Thank you, Mayor. No, well, because I've been asking to speak, and I just don't. Yeah, of course, and I want to defer to you as well, Mayor. Right? So, folks, I had a proposal. It's been out there since March. It's not part of this meeting because, well, I'm a counselor, and the mayor's proposal moved a little bit faster. It came out last month. My proposal is an ordinance committee, and it's not perfect. I don't think there are any perfect solutions to this problem. My proposal is, if you want to stay with the blue bag program, because there are some folks that actually like this program because they produce very little trash, under my proposal, you get to keep with that program. If you want to opt into a barrel, you opt in, you pay fair market value for one barrel, one time, you fill that barrel for life. So a couple of concerns came up with this one. Mr. Hogan, who's some of the brains in City Hall behind a lot of the stuff that you'll hear explained for policies. What happens if someone steals your barrel? So what we have found through Mr. Rannigan, he did some research on this. The fair market value of a tote like this is about $65. You can even put a GPS in there. If it goes missing, we could track it down. So that way you can fill your barrel and you don't have to deal with these recurring fees. So how do you finance this? The blue bags, we generate about $1.1 million a year in blue bag sales. Some people are going to stick with the blue bags. It's going to cost us the lion's share of about $1 million a year in general revenues. We do have some new revenues coming online. Whether you like the idea of cannabis shops in Malden or not, they are a reality. They are coming. There's going to be 5 licenses. Mr. Hogan is on that board. They're going to generate a 3% local option sales tax. That's at least $1 million. I think it's an opportunity here where we could subsidize trash removal for the residents. That way, if you like the idea of a barrel, you have a place for it, you can get the barrel. You don't like the idea of the barrel, you want to stay with these blue bags, you get to stay with them. That's my proposal. It's been out there since March, and it's in the ordinance committee. I know some folks had said, is this a done deal? It's not a done deal. There's an opportunity for us to hear the different suggestions that are out there, figure out what works for the residents. So that's all I had. I didn't want to take up any more time. I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder. You can, by all means, have the floor, and anyone else who wants to speak. Thank you so much, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. So we will post our next meeting. Please come again. We'd love to hear from you. And on behalf of the Citizen Engagement Committee of the City Council, thank you so much and hope to see you again. Thank you.